Fantastic. Hey, thanks for coming along and actually joining our July educational webinar. I know that a lot of people are actually really enjoying being able to go online and watch these webinars at their own leisure. So thanks, Karen, for coming along today. I'm thinking you're going to get quite a bit of benefit out of today. So we are accountable, we're Attains agents, we're actually award winners. We won the Zero Bookkeeper of the Year for 2020 in February, and we were the Bookkeeper of the Year for the ICNZB last year as well. So today we're actually going to be talking about creating business goals. And it quite amazes me how many people don't put time and effort into thinking about this. Have you got any business goals, Karen, or is it one of those things on your to-do list?
Yeah, probably on my to-do list.
So something just went weird, but anyway. So this is us here. We do bookkeeping, financial accounting, and business development work, and specialise in financial recovery. So those entities that are struggling financially, we can help them turn life around. So a truly successful business should provide the income to support the lifestyle you want and the discretionary time to enjoy it. Is that something you've actually set out to try and achieve, do you think, Karen?
Yeah, I think so. Trying to.
Brilliant. So this is what our goals actually should be focusing on, is giving us that income to support the lifestyle we want and the discretionary time to enjoy it. So rules of the game. No 100% participation. No, I know thinking. Orbed, which we're going to cover off very shortly. You may be able to do it for me, Karen. Glass half full. Fun, got to have fun. And if we do all of those things, we get much improved outcomes and we'll learn a lot more. So at the moment, I'm actually teaching at the Eastern Institute of Technology, and the students have really taken the rules of the game on board, and we are having a lot of fun and they're learning a lot. So it's a lot of fun. So Orbed, what's above the line, Karen?
Oh gosh, now you're going to test me. Positivity.
So we've got ownership, accountability, and responsibility. When you're setting goals, you've got to take ownership of them. You've got to speak with from the I. So I am going to. I will help do da 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 da. At that stage, you are very much the victor. You're in control and you're making physical choices around how your business is going to operate. If we go below the line, we're blaming, we're making excuses, we're denying. I've got, too much time, too much on my plate at the moment. My competitor has just lowered their price. The IRD have just changed all the rules. And it becomes very childlike. So you're out of control. You're just waiting to see what other people do. And it's actually a really horrible place to sit. You're a victim when you're thinking below the line. And what you're doing is you're actually justifying your thought patterns. So it's okay for me to not do this because of X, Y, Z. So really, when we're talking about goal setting, today is all about actually there is no point in setting a goal if we're going to think below the line, because we just won't achieve it. So today is very much around getting you to be where you want to be. And have you ever watched the Golden Circle video, Karen, from Simon Sinek? Well and truly, it's a really good watch. Okay. And the students yesterday, they actually got quite a bit out of it. So I think it's about 18 minutes long, so definitely check it out. Yeah. So in here, we've got consistency of the what. So this is the golden circle. We've got what, we've got the how, we've got the clarity of the why. When we're setting goals, we're focusing on the clarity of the why. Why are you in business? What are you hoping to achieve? What is the purpose of what you do? So when we're doing this sort of stuff, we act, think, and communicate from the inside out. And I think one of Simon Sinek's big things is people buy why you do it, not what you do. So I highly recommend you actually jump in, watch that video, because it'll give you a really good insight into how to do your marketing. So understanding your why before your how and your what is crucial to attract the right customers who will then become advocates. So if we know why you're doing this, and it might be that we are doing this because you want to help small businesses explode in growth, blah, 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 blah. It might be that you are being a business owner because you don't want to work for someone else and you want quality of life and you want to earn your own money, that sort of thing. Once we know what that why is, that then helps us to do the how. So how are we going to achieve what we want? And then the consistency of doing what helps us to achieve how, and in return we get why. Have I lost you, Karen?
No, that makes total sense.
So your why is your purpose.
Right.
Why do you do what you do? And I challenge everyone to actually write that why down in 7 words or less. So here at Accountable, we overcome obstacles for personal and business growth. That's what my job is. I help people overcome personal and business obstacles to get them to where they want to be. So really have a think around what your purpose is in 7 words or less. It can be really challenging. So words spew and keep coming up. 7 words or less. Your how is the process. How do you do what you do? What makes you different to your competition? And if you did actually watch the Simon Sinek Golden Circle, you'll actually hear him talk about Apple versus Samsung. So it's actually quite an interesting thing. And he also talks about Martin Luther King. So it's actually really quite interesting when you start looking at this from a different perspective. And then the results. The consistency of what is getting the results. It's what you do. It's your products, your services. It's that sort of stuff. But we don't set goals for what. And we don't set goals for how. We set goals for why we're doing what we're doing and what we want to achieve. So yeah, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. So if you can start telling people why you do it, they're going to want to work with you.
Cool.
And then we sort of move on to how do we actually set a goal when we actually don't know what we want? And I sort of say to people, and really good example down here, when I have more time, I'll spend it with my family and I'll be a better parent. Has that all ever come into your mind that you're just not being a good parent because you're so busy?
No.
So, and I think, the one thing here is if you want to be a better parent, you just do it. I need to be the best parent now. So to do that, I must reduce my working hours to develop great relationships with my family. For me, I've always wanted to be a business coach. So I could have actually sat there and said, well, when I have support from members in the community, then I'll be able to find clients and then I'll get to be a business coach. The reality is I need to be a business coach. I want to be a business coach. So to do that, I must actually find people that actually resonate with me and want to work with me so that I can have community support. So it's around actually taking your mindset and going from being very negative to the point when, oh, I can't do what I want because I have to wait for something else. You know, life is on hold. You're stagnating at that point, to then actually going, actually, no, I want this. So I'm just going to do it. And this is what I need to do to get there. It's a bit of a different concept, and some may struggle with it. So if you do, get in touch and we can work your way through it. But it's really quite simple when you work out what you want to be, so that you can have. So when you know what it is you want, and I've got a bit of a cough at the moment, so my apologies. Along with half of the country, I think. When you know what you want to be, then we've got to actually sit there and assess, where are we now? So, and be warts and all, be completely honest with yourself. Don't sugarcoat anything. My current situation is I earn XYZ amount of money. This is my current role. So these are the hours that I work, blah, 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 blah. This is the position of the business, and these are the issues that I have. And then we flip that and go, but this is where I want to be. I want to be in this financial position. I want to work 20 hours a week. I actually want to make myself redundant. I want to have a business that it can actually support me while I'm on holiday. And so then what we need to do is we need to go, this is where you are now. This is where you want to be. Now let's make a plan as to how to get there. And this is where we can help you make this happen. Because what we're talking about today is actually helping you create that how, helping you create the plan, the projects, the actions, the reporting, the accountability, all that sort of stuff to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. Have you got any idea where you want to be, Karen?
Yeah, I want to have clients.
So, and I think, you know, let's start working through this. So now we're how. Now is where you currently are. Where are you going? Now we're formulating the how.
Yeah.
So my thing's just gone backwards, I think. So let's consider this. Now we're sitting on Earth. Where is the moon? So we're sitting on Earth. We want to fly to the moon, like, you know, people have done. We can't just get up and walk to the moon. We've got quite a bit of a journey to actually go through. So if we now take that journey and break it down into milestones and go, you know, the first part of the journey to the moon is liftoff. Then the next part would be orbit, and then we're reaching the moon's atmosphere, and then we're starting and looking at landing, and then we get out and we stand on the moon. That seems quite easy, doesn't it? So then what we need to do is we need to go, right, so we're not going to focus on orbit, the reaching the moon's atmosphere or the landing at this point, because that's further down the line. We know that's what we need to do. Our first target is liftoff. Let's focus on what we actually need to do to get to liftoff. So if we're going to fly to the moon, the first thing we need to do is take our protein pills so that we're healthy when we land on the moon. Then we've got to put our helmet on. Then we've got to commence countdown. And then we've got to check the ignition. Because if we don't do any of those, we can't achieve our milestone of liftoff. So once we've got liftoff, then we break down the next steps from liftoff to orbit into little tiny steps. To take protein pills is not actually a big deal. And it's something you would actually do without even thinking about it. And so when we're actually creating goals, we've got our big, hairy, audacious goal, our BHAG, that's landing on the moon. Then we break that down into milestones. They're probably, yeah, I think I can achieve this. And oh my gosh, if I could, that would be amazing. And then we break each one of those down into little tiny steps, which are like, oh, that's easy. I just got to do it.
Mm.
And then when we actually start ticking off these, oh, that's easy, we just got to do it. Then actually, before we know it, we've actually reached a milestone. And with setting business goals, it's not a case of we're going to go from Earth to the moon, job done, thank you very much, I'm very clever. It's now we're on the moon, we've got to go home. So then we keep going round and around and around. It is, here's our big, hairy, audacious goal, going to the moon, then we've got our milestones, and then we've got our actions to achieve each milestone. Does that sound simple to you, Karen?
Sounds so simple. Why is it not simple?
And that is because you haven't got your why sorted.
Right.
So when you know your why, then you know what you're trying to achieve, and then you can set the goals. So if we haven't got your vision and your purpose and your values and things sorted on your business, you will struggle to set goals because you've got no idea. It's like, if you can imagine sitting in your car, the ignition's running and you're going, I'm going on holiday, but you haven't selected a destination, will you leave the driveway?
No.
And I think that's the key thing, is for us to set a business goal, we need to know where is our end destination, and then we can break that down. So the man on the moon is one simple principle to actually think about. I'm going to the moon. These are the milestones for me on that journey. And then these are the actions that I need. So another way of looking at this is, if we go and fill up our cup with all of our actions, which are little tiny things that don't take much to achieve, we're not going to fit many of our rocks in there, which are our big annual goals. So over the course of the year, I want to earn $100,000. I want to have 5 weeks off sitting on a beach in Rarotonga because it's the only place you can go right now.
Yep.
You know, I want to buy new shoes every 90 days. If we've got all the rocks on the outside of our cup and all the pebbles, you know, go in second, we've filled up our sand with all the actions of, yep, got to do payroll, got to actually process zero, got to actually keep the clients happy and do all the ordering of products and that sort of stuff. We won't achieve our annual goals because there's not enough room for us to focus on our big annual goals, which are going to get us to the moon. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we've got our rocks set first. Our rocks go into the jar first. We then break down our rocks into our pebbles and they become our 90-day goals. So every 90 days, we have a new goal, which is going to help us achieve our annual 1-year goal. And then once we've got our big, huge rocks, we've got our pebbles sorted, then we've got our actions, and that's our sand. And you can see from that picture that if we focus on the big annual goals, then we're going to actually achieve more than if we focused on the actions. And it's a different way of thinking, because I know business owners get stuck in that mindset of, I've just got to keep going from day to day to day. We need to stop having that mindset of just trying to get everything done to then actually, what do I want to achieve? What is my vision? What is the plan for my life? Because otherwise you won't achieve them. So do you reckon you've actually got pebbles or sand or rocks in your glass at the moment, Karen?
I think I've probably got sand. It may be a couple of rocks or maybe one rock. That's about it.
And I think, to be honest, that's completely normal. That's what I would actually expect from a business owner, is there'd be a rock that's not broken down into pebbles. So this is what I want, but I've got no idea how I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to keep operating on a day-to-day basis in the hope that that rock one day becomes achievable.
Yeah.
So let's change the way that we focus on our goals, I reckon.
Yeah.
So we've all seen this. Everyone knows this. None of us do this, including me. And so, you know, it is the way it is. We need to create smart goals. And it's things like, you know, I want to be financially comfortable. So what does that mean? You know, if I asked you to draw a picture of your goal that you've set, what would you draw? And financially comfortable would be drawn with a big house and food on the table or something along those lines. So the answer is, I don't want to be financially comfortable. I want to be able to have a 5-course meal every week for the next 6 months or something.
Nice.
It's actually got to be something specific. You've got to be able to describe what it is that you're going to achieve. And you need to be able to say to your friend or the guy at the dairy, which would be a bit weird, I must say, you know, I want to drive a convertible by December 2021. So that everyone can see. If you say, I want to drive a convertible, everyone can see that. They know what that means. You can see what that means, and it's specific. You could actually go, I want to drive a Honda convertible, and you tell I'm not a car person, and actually detail exactly what that vehicle is. It could be a bright pink with blue spots, you know. Actually really give your goal some life, because if you can vision it, if you can see it, yeah, it'll happen. And it's got to be measurable. So include a metric with a target. Like I've said, I'm going to drive this convertible by December 2021. So how am I going to get there? Is that a $60,000 vehicle? Is that, how am I going to know that I've actually achieved that? So I could say that I know that I've achieved the goal because I've actually driven that car off the lot. So now here's the trick. If my goal is to be driving a convertible by December 2021, and my measurable is that it's owned by me, and then on December 2021, I drive off the lot with a convertible and then take it back because I don't own it, but I've actually driven the convertible, have I achieved my goal?
No.
So what is it that makes it not achieved?
So you took it back.
And that's exactly it. So that's the key thing here, is that we've got this specific goal. It's got to be bound by something. If it was measurable, you needed to have driven a convertible 5 times to actually have achieved this, then we could have just walked, driven in and out of that gate 5 times, and we would have actually done it. We would have achieved our goal. If the goal actually is to own that convertible, then we haven't achieved the goal until we've actually achieved the measurable part. So if the goal is to make $10,000 in 3 months, the measurable part would be the 3 months' time I need to have $10,000 being earned. So make sure that whatever it is can be measured. If we go, I want to be financially comfortable, how do we measure that? So then the next thing is to be achievable. If we're going to own a convertible that costs $500,000 and currently we're sitting on the benefit, we're not going to achieve this goal. So what's the point in having it? There is no point in setting ourselves up for failure by setting a goal that is just not realistic. And we'll cover that a little bit more as well very shortly. It's got to be relevant. So the goal must align with your overarching plan and vision. So you know how I said before that if you haven't got your vision and your purpose and things sorted and your why, then this is going to be quite difficult for you, because your plan, your purpose and your vision and your values if one of your values is to be the best administration person in Hawke's Bay and do really great accounting, but your goal is to try and shortcut all these processes to increase your time and efficiency, then this goal that you're trying to achieve may not align with what you've set out to do. So really actually look at it and go, the goal that I've set here isn't relevant to what I'm actually trying to achieve. Because if your end destination is Auckland, and yet you've now decided you're going to drive via Wellington, is that something you should be doing? So if it's not relevant, go and set a new goal. And everything's got to have a time deadline on it. So if you're going to say, I'm going to complete this report by Monday next week, what time on Monday next week? You know, if you sit there and go, Monday next week, that could be 9 o'clock in the morning, it could be 12 o'clock, it could be midnight. Give yourself some really clear parameters around this is what we have to achieve by when. Does any of that make sense?
Absolute sense. Yeah.
Easy to do?
Yeah. Only thing I struggle with is the achievable. Like if you haven't done it before, then how do you know you can achieve it?
Well, that's a really good point. And I think you need to make a real solid decision around, are you pushing yourself when you shouldn't be? But we're going to cover, actually, I've got something coming up, so we'll come back to that question if that's okay.
Yeah.
So also the happiness pie, because we're talking about you making decisions. This is how you're going to grow your business. If we're focusing on Orbed, you are accountable, you are responsible for everything. So 50% of everything that you deal with is outside of your control. You can't control that. 10% is life circumstances. So husband may be sick. You may actually have grandma moving in with you or something like that. There are things that go on in your life that are going to actually make life a little bit difficult for you to achieve these goals. The only part that you've got control over is this 40% here. So this is within your control. You have the opportunity to harness your mind. You've got to be willing to change and adapt. You've got to have positive thoughts, develop good relationships, practice optimism. So once again, if you are below the line, you're not practicing optimism. You're not expressing gratitude. You're definitely not helping others. So really think about the goals that you're setting in your business. Are they trying to repair things that are in that 50% outside of your control? Are they focusing in that area? Or are they focusing in the 40% I'm going to do for this reason? Be, do, have. I want to be so that I can have. So it's a bit of a different way of thinking about things, but really understand, Orbed, once again, understand if you are focusing on what you can change or what you can't change, because that's going to make a difference as to whether you achieve the goals or not. And here we have the Goldilocks rule. So this is around your achievement standards. So if we set a goal and we said that we were going to go to the supermarket next Monday and buy $200 worth of groceries, it's possibly quite an easy goal to set. Mm. So you're not really going to be focused on it. and you'll probably go to the supermarket and spend 195 or even 450, because frankly, I don't really care whether I achieve this goal of spending $200 at the supermarket. If we said that we are going to start a whole business and grow to $1.5 million in sales within the first 6 months, the chances are that that's just going to be too hard, too difficult, and it's just not going to happen. And so then when you've gone and set a goal for something that is just not possible, you're going to fail. And then you go, oh, okay, well, I'm not that good. Next thing you know, we're back at actually looking at spending $200 at the supermarket. So we keep the goals really simple to avoid failing. What we need to actually understand is the Goldilocks zone. You know, it's too soft, well, it's too cold, it's too hot. We just want it to be just right. And so if we can get that goal to be achievable, where it pushes you a little bit, makes you stretch that little bit into a little bit of discomfort, but not to the point where you're like, oh, there's no way this is going to happen, then this is where the achievement standard is. To do this, though, you need to actually be really honest with yourself. Are you stretching a little bit, or are you making this happen? Are you being quite easy? So as an example, I said to a client once, so when's your next holiday going to be? And he was like, oh, okay, Rotorua. I said, okay, sweet. Let's plan for this. You need to go and get a budget, da, 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 da. 2 weeks later, he came back and said, done it, achieved that goal. I went to Rotorua for the weekend. Was that, which area of the Goldilocks rule did that goal fall?
And the too little difficulty.
Too little difficulty.
Yeah.
You know, motivation's there, difficulty's there. Yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
If that was, let's fly to New York and go to Broadway, we'd be down here. It's too difficult. We just can't do it. And even though the motivation may be quite high, we just can't do it. So here would be, you know, I'm going to take the family to Queenstown. I'm going to go to Cape Reinga. I'm going to do Rarotonga, which we then have to set a budget. We then have to actually work it out. How's the business going to operate without me? Blah, 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 blah. There is some difficulty, but nothing we can't overcome. Does that answer your question about how do we know what's achievable?
Yeah.
Not really?
Kind of.
And I think what's achievable is what you're capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you need to be honest with yourself. If you say, I'm going to have $1 million turnover within 6 months, is that possible?
No.
No. So if you say, I'm going to have a $5,000 turnover in the next 6 months, is that possible?
Stretching, could be.
Well and truly, you could achieve that. So the reality is, don't go too easy on yourself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if we're looking at Orbed, we don't want to, like, you know, make excuses about, oh, no, well, $5,000 is adequate. We want more than that because we know what our why is.
Mm.
Did it again. So the ceiling of complexity is another thing. When we start out in business, we expect to go from here at the bottom all the way to the top with no issues. It's just beautiful, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ups and downs. It's nothing. In reality, we start out, we set goals and we go, yeah, everything's great. And then it starts dropping. And we've either got to make a decision at that point where we actually set a new goal and focus on where we're actually heading in the business, or we just come back down again. So here we need to actually go, oops, things are actually changing, 90 days. Let's actually refresh our goal. Let's keep moving forward. So then we can actually keep growing. 90 days later, we come back down and we could keep going down, or we've got to refresh our goals to then actually keep going. So whenever you're talking about this sort of stuff, it's a constant evolvement. Your business plan is not something that just sits there in the drawer. This is a constant development that we refresh constantly. So when life gets hard, we've got to actually shoot through and try and keep going. And this one is really interesting, and I have actually been focusing on this one a lot lately. The emotional cycle of change. So when we've set a goal and we get so far and then it stops working. So there's stages that we go through, like, here's my goal, everything's great, you know, life is awesome. So we've got uninformed optimism here. This goal is going to work, it's going to be magic, and it's going to save my life completely, and I'm going to have $1 million turnover in 6 months' time. Then we come down to stage 2, and it's informed pessimism. So here we're sitting there going, oh, actually, I'm not getting the sales that I thought I was going to get. I'm not going to get to my $1.5 million turnover in 6 months. And then you get to like this phase 3, valley of despair. And so if we've just worked out that the goal that we set ourselves is actually not possible, people will just give up. Most people actually quit here at phase 3, the valley of despair. We've started out rocking it. Oh my God, I'm amazing. Life is going to be fantastic. To then go, oh, actually, no, what I thought isn't actually true. So then here you've got options. You can quit and go back and start again, and land here and quit and go back and start again. And so you're just wasting heaps of time by constantly redoing everything, getting that valley of despair and going, it's too hard. Or you could push through. So here at phase 4, informed optimism, we now know that what we came in with was wrong. We've learned from that. We've now modified our thought pattern a little bit. We've made it a little bit more realistic. So we've moved our goal into that Goldilocks zone. So we're feeling a little bit more comfortable. And then we go on to success and fulfillment. So when you set your goals, be aware that you're going to come in down here, you're going to just bottom out completely. You've got a choice when you get to the valley of despair. Do I really want to climb up the other side, or am I just going to go back and get the elevator back up to the top and start again? If we're just going to go to phase 3, then we're not going to move the business forward because we're just repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So really think about it. When you get to this point where you're ready to throw your hands up in the air, are you in the valley of despair and ready to start again? Or are you in the valley of despair and ready to reassess the position that you're currently in to then actually move your goal into the Goldilocks zone? Do you think you've ever been anywhere near that phase 3 valley of despair, Karen?
Heading towards it.
So what do you think you'll do? Is there a what's the ski slope there? The chairs that you go on?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know.
So you've got to decide now. Do you want to get that chair lift back up, or do you just want to go cross country skiing?
Cross country, fun. Excitement.
And I think once you know what your why is, you know why you're doing it, you know what you want to achieve, you know what your product is, you've actually set yourself some goals, you know all of this sort of stuff, you're in that valley of despair, there's only one thing that's really going to make you climb up the other side, because I think going back to the beginning is a damn sight easier than having to reassess where you're at and what you're trying to achieve. So you need to come into goal setting with a results mindset. So what that actually is you've made some decisions. You've then taken some actions. And at this point, you've taken your actions and you're sitting in the valley of despair and life's getting a bit custard and you're just over it, really. What you need at that point is someone to either give you a kick and say, get up the other side, or maybe you're right, let's reassess things, and you're still going to go up the other side. So the accountability when it comes to goal setting is actually really critical, because that valley of despair is actually a really horrible place to sit. We go back to that oar bed model. You can either grab your oar and let's go on an awesome journey together down a river, or you can stay in bed and go nowhere. Without the accountability, when you're in that valley of despair, you're going to stay in bed and you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So your wife, your husband, your mum, your dad, they're not going to actually hold you to account, because they're just going to say, you're doing a great job, you know, darling, you know, you're doing fantastic. And if it's your husband or your wife, it's just going to cause marriage issues, because you're going to argue and then they're just going to give up. So really look for that accountability partner that's actually going to kick you when you need to be kicked to get up the other side, to keep going on your goal achievement. And that's how we get results. What do you think of that idea, Karen? Is that something that's
a bloody good idea? That's what I need.
And I think that's the key thing. It's you've got to have that results mindset. You can't do this on your own. That valley of despair is we all get there. I have a business coach that every now and then I end up in the valley of despair, and my business coach tells me what I need to hear at the time, just to keep pushing up that hill. So really have a think about who is around you that could actually hold you to account for the decisions that you've made, and can make sure that you actually achieve the goals that you actually want to achieve. So the next steps, I think we can help you with quarterly coaching and business planning. So I think most business owners should actually have a business plan. Actually, all business owners should have a business plan. It's not a 30-page document. It's not going to sit in the drawer. It is actually going to be a document that you live in, that's in your face constantly. If you spend a lot of time in the toilet, stick it on the toilet door so that you can read it while you're entertaining, doing stuff. So really have a think about that. We've got quarterly coaching that we can do. We're actually running accountability groups, which is where we use the peer pressure to actually keep you motivated and supported at the same time. And at the end of the day, there's always a complimentary client meeting. Come along and we can help you actually uncover what those goals may look like. So you've got your comfort zone there. Nothing awesome happens in the comfort zone. Make sure you stretch yourself and actually get out to where the magic happens. And don't forget that there may be funding available through the Regional Business Partner Network. So reach out and have a look at that website and apply and see what happens. So you've got some actions to do now. You know how to set goals. You know what's going to happen in the stages of that goal. Write down 3 actions or projects that will add value to your business right now. So really have a think about what those things are that you've probably been putting off, that if you actually did, you're going to do amazing things with. A problem is an opportunity to create a project. So if we're going to go back to Orbed, if there is a problem, it's actually not actually a problem. It's just something you need to deal with. And doing nothing should not be an option. Would you agree with that, Karen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Doing nothing is a nice option though, isn't it?
it is. It's a very easy option, but it gets you nowhere.
It gets you nowhere. Stays in bed, nice and
Mhm.
warm, nice and cozy.
Mm-hmm.
So have you got any questions for me today? I know that we've probably talked a lot and there's probably a lot for you to process.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will say, live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. And I think this is when it comes to goal setting. Set those goals like you were going to die tomorrow. I need to achieve this. This would be amazing if I could do this. But through that process of setting that goal, we're going to go on a journey and we're going to learn so much from it. And then the next goal is going to be much better. It's going to be much better defined. And we're going to go on a journey. So don't put off things because life gets in the way. Just keep moving forward and do things like you've actually got no tomorrow, because that's how we're going to grow a business and achieve our goals.
Nice.
So thank you very much for giving up your time, Karen. I really appreciate it. I might need to do something a little bit different because I know everyone's watching these videos online in their own time.
Mm-hmm.
And I get really bored talking to myself. So I really appreciate you coming along today.
No problem.
By all means, reach out if we can help at all. And yeah, I look forward to giving you guys, catching up with you all next month, which at this stage looks like it's going to be, well, it will be, I just need to confirm the date. I've been working with a person who's worked internationally on branding, and he's going to come along and actually talk to you about what's good branding and how to actually incorporate that into your business to be successful. So keep an eye out for that one. Have a good afternoon.
Nice. Like it.